Welcome back to the Make or Break Society. In this one we're going to do a full disassembly guide as well as cleaning of the shell on this Game Gear. This is a pre-video to my recapping video, which should be up not long after this one shows up. For this process, you're going to need a few things. You're going to want some ISO, you want a screwdriver, as well as a Phillips number 1 bit. I'm using this one from this adapter plus my bit from my iFixit kit, just so I can get the depth I need into these holes. A standard bit from a screwdriver like this doesn't reach. It's too big to go through these holes. You're also going to need a 4.5mm game bit driver for this screw here. You're going to want a toothbrush to use with your ISO so we can clean the board off, and a parts tray. You can find links to this parts tray, my Gridfinity parts tray, in the description. Without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to start by taking the 7 screws, I believe, out of the bottom of the Game Gear. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now, I'm not going to bother taking these wires out for the battery connectors, so long as everything's nice and dry, which I'll be leaving this one a little extra to dry. As long as everything's nice and dry, it shouldn't be an issue. If it's not dry, we could have problems, but even then it's not super likely. Now at this point you have a choice. Your choices are to not soak this one and very carefully scrub your front face and inside your buttons and all around your bezels, and just scrub like that and not soak like we are with everything else. Or you can remove this bracket, which is heat pressed on there, so you can then remove the speaker and then you can carefully glue the speaker back down. and then you can soak the whole thing. I'm just going to do the scrub around everything, and I'm not going to be removing this bracket because I'm trying to keep this one as original, especially on the shell, as I can. Okay, so the next step is we need to fill this up with soapy water and soak all of our parts. Alright, so here we go. We've got our soapy water. Everything in there has been soaking for about 10 minutes. And now we're just going to go through part by part, cleaning them up. I'm going to start with this one. And then all the ones in here, we brush them down. And then they just go right back in there. And then we're going to rinse them. Alright, so now we drain it and fill it with clean water and dry everything off. Okay, so we've got all of our parts in our clean rinse water, and now we just rinse them off. With this one, I'm going to use the toothbrush to kind of brush the soap residue off. You can see it there. The rest of them, they've been sitting in it for a few minutes, so I can just pull them out and put them on a drying pad. So let's get some paper towel out and get everything laid out. Now we just dump our water and let it sit for a bit. I'm going to flip this one after about 10 or so minutes, just try and get some of the stuff out. You can dry everything up with a cloth, or you can let it sit and dry up. That's really your choice. I would let it sit for at least a little bit so the water from in behind here gets completely out. You can also use compressed air to try and blast it out. Yeah, and let it sit now. Okay, so let's clean the board. This is going to be a little bit different than the way I normally clean boards, where I just kind of scrub everything down. In this case, we're avoiding the LCD as much as possible with the ISO. Now, a tip for the cartridge swap that I like to do, make sure a little bit gets in there, and then I take a game. This game right now works, so it's not, the game's not dirty. But we take some ISO, we get the ISO in the game, and the ISO in the cartridge slot. And then we insert and remove a few times. And basically gets the ISO all over those pins and cleans them off. Now we're going to clean our power board and our volume, or our audio board. Now we just wait for it to all dry. Alright, now that everything's dry, we're going to start reassembly. I'm going to start with the power and audio boards first. I'm going to assemble them into the back, and then we'll reassemble the rest of it. The nice thing about reassembly, with the exception of these two screws here, all the screws that go into all the boards are exactly the same. So all of these screws are the exact same size, except for these two big ones, and those go here and here. Let's get reassembling. Okay, before we progress any further than this, I want to clean the displays, so this display as well as the inside here. It's really hard to tell sometimes when they are clean. Just by sight, it's not always the easiest, especially on this one. But what you want to do is use a microfiber cloth with it and lightly brush it off. If there is anything on them that won't come off with a microfiber cloth, you can use a little bit of glass cleaner. However, don't be like spraying glass cleaner all over it. Spray just a little bit onto your microfiber cloth and like one little spot, so you can use that spot to rub and then dry with another spot. Don't let it sit on there. It just occurs to me that I forgot to put the power switch in when I put the power board in. I'm going to take care of that quickly. Okay, now it's time to put the two halves together. Yes, and now before we seal it up, we need to test it. Okay, it's all working properly. Let's seal it up. Okay, and that's how to full clean the Sega Game Gear. If you liked what you saw here, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, doesn't matter if you make or break, as long as you're having fun.